it's a respect thing for me, right? You can get me to do anything you want if you ask me the proper way, right? So that's the respect and the way that I love to deal with the individuals that allow me to mentor them, because that's the other thing. This is a volunteer thing.
Right.
People always come and tell me, "Oh, I want you to mentor this person."
Right.
And I said, "Okay. What does that person want?" Because only when an individual wants to be mentored can mentorship or the relationship between a mentor and a mentee be fruitful.
Welcome to the Echo of Vlad podcast. A few and a half deep conversations about life, God, relationship, tough topics, anything we come up with. But more so than everything, having real and honest conversations, dropping a few gems along the way. I'm here with one of my mentors, back with the Mentorship Series. And this mentor, crazy enough, for the last 4 years, this man has been in my life, improving me, helping me, giving me game on game on game. And the crazy part is that I have not even asked for it once. That's some of the relationships that I love the most. The ones that you start, but you never ask for it. It's just the right place, right time, and then next thing you know, years go by, you guys are the best of friends, and this person has a real impact in your life. But no other person than Joshua Arjona. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How's everything?
Everything is great, man. You know, same old for me, right?
Honestly.
Somewhat, if most people would hear me say, I'm absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you for asking.
You see, people, anybody who knows him watching, he gave a different answer this time.
Right, you're right.
Honestly, yes.
I guess the camera made me do it.
Man, but that phrase you always have and everybody asks, how are you doing? You say,
absolutely fantastic. Thank you for asking.
why do you answer like that?
So I too have mentors, right? And I had a mentor when I was in the financial sector, and he said to me, you need to control your attitude and your actions. And I was like, okay. And he said, I use a phrase. And truth be told, it wasn't my phrase, it was his phrase actually. And when he told me what he said, I adopted it, because I understand in mentorship that you are going to take certain things from the person who's mentoring you.
Right.
So I decided that I would use that. And lo and behold, I mean, that was like 2007 when he said that to me. And that was before I started working at Miami-Dade part-time. So I just started using it, and it was a way for me to push myself forward, like an affirmation.
Right.
And at this point, I've said it so much that in days or times when I don't feel it, people say it to me or don't allow me not to say it. So it kind of, now it works as affirmation and a way to redirect and to center myself on the days that I may not feel absolutely fantastic.
I get you. It's interesting because that's 2007, you said, right?
Yeah, that's when I was in the financial sector, yes.
That's about 6 years. 6 years of like a daily affirmation. And how would you say that has kind of made your life change in a positive way in the past 6 years?
I would say that it helped to give me something to strive for. Right?
Yeah.
It says to me, either say it and mean it, or say it as a projection of where you're trying to go.
Okay.
So it has molded me into the individual that I am today. And when I'm in public, all the time, it's absolutely fantastic.
Gotcha.
Thank you for asking. And then people say, well, why do you say that? And I always tell them, because in life, you can only control two things, your attitudes and your actions. So I choose to be absolutely fantastic all the time.
Interesting. That's the funny thing about life, because like your mentor passed that on to you.
Right.
And who knows how many people you've passed that on to them as well. So it's like one piece of advice stems from another one, and then it branches off to another person, to another person, another person.
Right.
I have a quote that I like to say is that your maturity will your maturity will leave more of an impact than you'll ever know. And I think that's almost a prime example of that.
Right.
Because he doesn't know where you've taken that phrase, where you've taken that mentality, and then how that may have not just impacted you, but anybody else.
Right.
His maturity left the impact, and it just went. He don't even know where it went.
Right.
If you're watching this, hey, you did a number on people.
Awesome. It's true, man. It really made me realize that, man. As I think back, yeah, he definitely left an impression on me, and I've used it, and it's the catchphrase that people know me for. Definitely at the job. So, and God knows how many students I've helped as an advisor or as a recruiter. So, yeah, it has reverberated, right?
I get you. You've been a mentor not just to me, but to other people as well. Plenty of other people. How long? To give more backstory to the people who don't know, he is our club advisor at Minorities of the Future.
Yes, sir.
While I was president and also vice president, he was a very close mentor to me, and still is, probably is going to be for as long as I know him. But how long have you been a club advisor, or at least mentoring young men?
Well, funny enough, 2023 is our 10-year anniversary.
10 years.
In the fall.
Ooh,
In
this
the
sounds
fall.
good.
Yeah, 10 years, and of course we're going to be doing our celebration.
Okay.
It's always in the fall term because that's when it all started for us. So we're going to try to bring everybody back, the old folks, and then get you all to come and speak to that new group that I'm working with now.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are fiery. They've met with some of those same struggles
Right.
that we all met with as
Everybody,
right, as we were going through our 2 years or our year of leadership as a part of the e-board.
Right.
So now they're building, and they're going through some of those same
Growing
hurdles.
Growing pains.
Right, those growing pains.
Right.
So in our 10th anniversary, we want to make sure that we solidify what we've done, and then keep that foundation so that we can move forward and have it available for those that are coming.
I get you. That's really impressive. So 10 years.
10 years. I've been doing it for 10 years on the books, right? But we got together to start the initiative in 2012, actually 2011, right? So they called me to a meeting with a bunch of leaders and asked me would I lead the young group, and I said no. I was like, no, because I understand what it cost to mentor. It's not just where you got your assignment. Right. So you get your assignment at work. They say, hey, we want you to mentor a group of students.
Right.
In this particular case, they're black and brown brothers. Right. And then they say, hey, we need these deliverables. We want them to be upstanding citizens of the community at the college, right? We want them to go to class. We want them to be available to usher, to go on community service events, whatever is necessary from a student leader.
Right.
And then they want to make sure that everybody is academically sound. So initially I said no.
Right.
And then I want to say 2 years later, they signed up 3 gentlemen to work with the organization. And I wouldn't say that they didn't work the system. I just think that the opportunity wasn't what they had initially signed on for.
Because everything changes. Even when you accept something, accept the position whatsoever, things may change rapidly or slowly, but it's going to change.
Right.
Right. And you spoke to us like they wanted this certain result. But do you think sometimes, especially with young men, because getting a certain result requires a certain a certain actions that you just have to meet with other people. It's not just simply, okay, tell them to do this, they gonna do this. You working with people at different levels, and not only different levels, some people may not know that they may need help in a certain area. Like, I can imagine kind of the growing pains of going through that. Because you're first time to this, you're mentoring in a sense. It's kind of like having a child.
Yeah.
You gotta figure out, before they learn how to tie their shoes, they gotta learn how to use their hands.
Right.
Was it that kind of experience with them?
So 2 things. One, I'm not a parent, so I don't want anybody to feel like I'm putting those two together. Okay. Right. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, because some people would say, oh, mentorship and parenthood are 2 different things, right? So I just wanted to make that clear, right?
Okay.
I'm not a parent. But you said something that I wanted to kind of sort of go back to. They requesting for me to tell somebody to do something.
Right.
I always make it my business to ask because of the respect that I have for young black males.
Wait, hold on. So instead of telling, you're asking.
Always.
Why is that more respectful?
Because I want every individual that I mentor to understand that you have a choice. Because if I told you to do something, in most cases, out of respect for me, not wanting to do it, you're going to do it. Right? Mm-hmm. But I want you to be a participant in this process. That's why I ask. I always ask, can you do this for me? I need you guys to come to this event. Are you going to be able to make it? So that way, it is always your choice. People don't understand. In life, everything is our choice. Because there will be situations where, as a man, you're going to have to act. Right? And you did it because you thought somebody told you to do it. But they could back out of that. And they can say, well, I never said anything. So then you're left holding the bag.
Right.
So I always wanted to say to young men that I mentor that are going to be grown men eventually, you always have a choice. That's why I always ask. I never tell. I never tell you to do anything because it's a respect thing for me. Right? You can get me to do anything you want if you ask me the proper way. Right? So that's the respect and the way that I love to deal with the individuals that allow me to mentor them. Because that's the other thing. This is a volunteer thing.
Right.
People always come and tell me, oh, I want you to mentor this person.
Right.
And I said, okay. What does that person want? Because only when an individual wants to be mentored can mentorship or the relationship between a mentor and a mentee be fruitful.
How do you work with somebody who may not know if they want mentorship? What if they're like, I'm good off of that? Or I'm like, hey, what I need a mentor for? I mean, I'm going through life. I can just figure it out on my own or this, that, and the third. Like, what's the need for a mentor or somebody to look up to, in a sense?
So it's basically a GPS for your life, right? Or for the particular activity that you're trying to take on. In this particular case, it's getting a degree, right? So I am basically the GPS for the degree, right? The associate degree first, and then the bachelor's degree, and then eventually once I have my master's degree, I'll be able to add that to the Rolodex. So if somebody's looking to try to get to a master's program, I can walk them through it. Okay. So to answer your question more directly, the individual buys in to a system that's structured. And that's how I maintain the ability to mentor individuals that may not want it. I do the same activities. I go through the same practices. If you were to connect with some of your counterparts, presidents from other generations, they will say that some of the things that you all experience are similar. Right? There's similarities. So if somebody's going through something at a particular stage in their leadership, they can look back. And what I want to foster is that connection from you all to that new group. That's why I want to make that connection this year. And it's so important to me because they can come and now say, hey, man, Josh said for me to do this. And then y'all can say, well, he hasn't changed. Because that's some of the same stuff that I had to go through. Right? And that's how you mentor an individual that doesn't want to be mentored, but paid attention to somebody that told him, hey, come join our meeting. Right? So somebody come in and say, all right, I don't really want to be mentored. But as they go through the meeting, as they see how I interact with the students, they see how we have conversations and how we, work through activities, how I pour into the individuals that are a part of the e-board and of course a part of the general group as well. They start to figure out, let me give this a chance. Because, to your point, you can't mentor a person who doesn't want to be mentored.
Right.
But the fact that they came to the meeting, they were looking for something.
Whether they know it or not.
Whether they know it or not.
I get you. It's interesting because I'm not going to say I was of that mindset of like, I don't need a mentor. But when the kind of the situation, I want to say when I got placed in the situation, our mutual friend, Mr. Murphy, he tricked me into come to the meeting. Yeah, he did. He tricked me to come to the meeting. He said, hey, if you want to meet with your advisor, come to the meeting. And I had no kind of mindset towards, okay, needing a mentor throughout college or this stage in my life or whatsoever. But again, seeing how you guys did your meetings, seeing that structure, seeing that stability, that I was like, okay, this person has stability, this person has stability. And I kind of realized, okay, I could look up to that. I'm seeing somebody else's results or somebody else's practice and seeing, okay, this is something that I could at least be curious about that. Let me just be curious. Let me just be curious a little bit more, and then let me see what it leads up to. I think, I wouldn't say that's a foolproof method, but I can see how much of it's changed not only me, but other people. Seeing how people come from the start of it to the end of it. It's a journey that a lot of people have taken, a lot of people have gone through, and there's the success is, you can't argue with it. You almost can't.
I'm glad.
Man, I love it. I love this conversation, man. I really am. But first, before we get to the next part, we got to go to commercial one time. We got to go to commercial, then we're going to be right back to this conversation.
But if you're going to be a $20 bill and you jump to 100, you're going to be held accountable to be a $100 bill for the rest of your life. Or as long as you know me. So if I see Vlad as 1,000% and the next day something's bothering Vlad, right? I can understand. We'll talk it out. We'll see if there's a problem. But if there is no problem, I am going to hold you accountable to be the best that you can possibly be. Right? And especially in times of opportunity. We're back with this amazing episode. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really love this conversation because one thing about me and Josh is that every conversation starts off light, but then it just gets like a deep turn at the end of it. Like for some reason, it's like one conversation, then we could just branch out of multiple. Me personally, I love those kind of conversations. I love those conversations that could spark into various different things. But we're having this conversation about mentorship, and I must ask a question. Weird question to ask a mentor, but is mentorship ever in vain?
Wow. Always, I would say no.
Always, you say no.
I would always say no. Because mentorship, if done correctly, if I buy in, right, to the mentor role, I have already said to myself, no matter what happens, I'm here for the mentee. Doesn't matter if you heard me today, doesn't matter if you heard me 2 years from now. I bought into the process, right? And I think it's beneficial to the mentee, right, to continue to work within themselves and listen to those jewels, right? no matter when they get them. I have a, I guess I can call her a mentor. She's a family member, but she's an educator. And she told me, you have to realize that it may not be the right time for that student to receive the information that you're giving them. But if you continue doing your job, somebody else is going to say the same exact thing and give value to that lesson that you taught them way back when.
Exactly.
So then it kicks in. You get what I'm saying? Like it'll give them a point of memory, and then they'll say, you know what? My mentor told me that. So it gives validity to what that person said all those years ago. And now it brings them to a place with that new teacher that is going to prepare them to be able to receive that information that they're in need of at that particular point. So, no, man, it's never in vain. It's never in vain. It's just that people take mentorship sometimes selfishly. They say, you know what, I'm going to make these people great. But what a lot of people don't understand is that you all helped me as well in my mentorship.
That's the tough part, because your results are attached to somebody else's life.
Yeah.
How they live your life is like your grade. And that, I can imagine, one, how hard that could be to accept, but then somebody can get cocky about it. They're like, oh yeah, I could definitely be a mentor to this person. I'm going to change this person's life. But you didn't change this person's life. You didn't do anything to help this person's life. And how do you not, like, at first you said, when you got the opportunity, you said no, because you kind of understood it. You didn't come into a cocky like, yeah, I'm gonna change these young men's life, the young black boys on campus. I'm gonna change their life, help them become the best men in the community, best men on the state, of the country, or whatsoever. But it was like you understood, okay, this comes not at a cost to you, but also a cost to other people.
Right.
This is their life. Yes. You're not only mentoring them for the campus or for their academics.
No.
It's how they approach life from now on.
Absolutely. And I always used to tell you guys, I don't know if you remember, nothing that we do matters unless you all graduate. Right? Because there's a minority of the future at Miami-Dade College, or MOF as we call it. We complete every task that we undertake. So it's a greater purpose all the time. Right? It doesn't matter when you step into it. When you decide to do it, it's worth it. And it's not for me. Yes, I am blessed by the success of the individuals that allow me to mentor them. Right? And I'm very cognizant of that every day. I go into every situation, every mentorship with the idea and the understanding that this individual has given me a gift. And the gift is to allow me to mentor them. So as long as I think of it that way, I hold it in the highest regard, and I make for sure that I'm doing my absolute best. And actually, when I first started this, the reason why I said no was because a person in my life said to me, what are you going to teach these young kids? You haven't even accomplished what you're telling them they have to do. And true to fact, I didn't even have my associate's degree until 2013, which is the year that the actual official organization, MOF, started. And I didn't get my bachelor's until 2019. So while I was going through, a lot of you all achieved your degree before me. So that was a point for me to stay humble. And I still keep that as a focal point to keep me humble and to let me know, listen, if you do this right, you all are going to supersede me. And right now today, we got members, they got their master's degree already. We got members that got their bachelor's degree before I even did in 2019. We had some guys that went to graduation with me at Miami Dade. You get what I'm saying? So it's the humbling that I always appreciate, because you have to stay humble when you're mentoring people.
Right. That humility is key.
It's key. Because, like you said, somebody could say, man, look, I did this for this person. I made this guy. And I'm very careful, man, because I don't want to disrespect anybody that has ever been mentored by me. Because I want you all to pay it forward, to have mentors of your own. So that way, the blueprint has been set forth, and you could just take that blueprint and follow. Write the vision, make it plain.
Oh man, I'm loving this conversation, man. This conversation is getting good. One thing that you kind of instilled in me, one lesson that I've learned from you, kind of a silent lesson, is one about diligence. Like every time, like you either send us to an event or you tell us to do certain things, you sometimes know exactly what you're telling us to do, or you push it on us to, like, when we bring something to you, you want to break it down to the T. You want to break it down to, like, okay, this part equals this part leads to this part, this part leads to this part. That's something that I've learned from you in these past 4 years of knowing you. Why have that diligence in a sense?
I have always been an individual that searched to understand. I am a solution-based or root cause thinking individual, right? So I want to make sure that I am giving enough information to help the mentee move forward. Right. I want to break down, even before the obstacles come, those obstacles that are going to cause you to be like, oh, why am I doing this? Or why should I do this? Or the biggest nightmare that I have had is for me to ask you all to do something, or for me to tell you that something is going to be beneficial to you, and then you go through it and you find out that it isn't. That is the biggest nightmare for me, especially in education, right? Because everybody says, or most of the world at large says, oh, you're going to go get a degree and you're not even going to be able to find a job in that field. So being an educator now and working with black and brown brothers, obstacles are already there. Things are happening all around us that will cause us to believe that what we're doing is in vain. So it was important for me to be diligent and say, listen, I'm going to break this down for everybody, all the way to the most minute detail, so that way when you're going through and you get to those places where you're almost assuredly going to say this is a waste of time and I'm going to quit, you can think back and say, you know what, this process has already been broken down to me. If I follow these steps, I know that I'm going to be successful and it's going to be worthwhile. And for me, it's no more than right, because that's how I would want somebody to break it down for me.
I get you. Because a lot of, being a student, you hear a lot of like, oh, why am I here at college? Why am I taking this class? Like, what we need a college degree for? Like, you going through it, like, sometimes you say it as jokes and this stuff. But, like, there's always the mindset, or people who have that mindset around you of like, yo, why am I doing this? What do I got to do this for? But that diligence, when you break down exactly what you're doing and like you understand each part of it, or the most part of it that you can, it helps you see it through. It may not make it easier, but it helps you see the light at the finish line.
Right.
It helps you recognize, okay, that's a light instead of a train coming towards me.
Exactly.
It helps you like, okay, this might suck for now, but I know for sure this is going to benefit me later.
Yes.
And imagine instilling that mindset into young kids on campus, young men, young black and brown brothers. Like, them having that mindset, not just in college, but throughout life.
Yes. Listen, it's you don't really think about it when you're going through it, right? But when you get into a situation where it may become difficult for you, the training that you've received is just gonna be, it's gonna be innate. It's just gonna come out of you. And if you've been told, don't retreat, keep going. In most cases, when you feel that way, the finish line is right there. Right at the other side of that feeling, man, this is so difficult, this is so tough. That's where it's coming, like right on the other side of that. So typically, if we push through and we get on the other side of that, we find success. Right. So that's really what I always try to tell my mentees. Listen, it's gonna get difficult. I'm never gonna lie to you and tell you that it's not gonna get difficult. But because of what you're made of, and I always say, if the field was level, which is why I always say I'm trying to level the playing field. So we try to level the playing field for black and brown brothers, right? Yeah. But if the field was level, I would choose y'all to be successful rather than the other side, right? Because the stuff that you're made of, the stuff that you deal with, the stuff that you have already seen in your life has prepared you to be successful already. We are the sum of all of our experiences, right? Absolute sum. So you've already met with success, right? I just have to get you to believe in yourself long enough for you to see the success that you are. So that's always the work that I do. I don't want you to ever think that, or I won't say what I don't want. What I want you all to think is that success is not a mistake. You are going to be successful as long as you keep doing these key things. And once you get there, you'll see that all of that work that you put in was not in vain.
Man, I told you I love this conversation. This has been one for the books for sure. Man, Josh, I'm not going to lie to you. I have to thank you a lot.
Amen.
Because for me, the last 4 years of college, or last two, it almost like, okay, I had a head start, like a boost at the start, but then I just had to keep going, just keep treading, even though it was like hard at the last second. Because it's not just college, I realize. It's not just, okay, the college system or just a university system. This is your growing period for life.
Yeah.
Some people, like these years from 18 to 23, 24, 20, whatever, that sets the tone for the next part of your life.
Absolutely.
You either recovering from it or you're benefiting from it.
Right.
And man, having mentors, having people who look out for you, people who love you enough, people who value you enough to set you on the right path, to help you be diligent about the path that you're on, to challenge you in these kind of things. It almost is, it's almost like a cheat code.
Hey man, you can't have enough of those. Listen, you can't have enough of those. And that's what we're here for, man. The other day, we were at the banquet, Trio banquet.
Shout out to Trio.
Yeah,
Trio
definitely.
Support Services.
Trio works, right?
Definitely.
We're at the banquet, and then they announce, elders eat first. And somebody say, hey, Josh, that's you. And I laughed because I know they were joking, right? But it's an honor for me to be considered an elder, because that's where the knowledge comes from. That's where the wisdom comes from. I have elders that pour into me even when I'm not interested, right? So I felt at that moment in great company, because if somebody saw me as an elder at that moment, then that means some kind of knowledge, some kind of wisdom that I imparted in them. They saw the value and they gave me that, that check, right? That we're all looking for in our day to day.
Yeah.
Do the things that we do matter, right? Yeah, they do. But we can't be looking for it. And I think it's difficult because people are like, I'm always, it's the gratitude, right, that we're looking for. and sometimes they say instant gratification, right? But nothing in education is instant, right? You are going through a process, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 4 years, to receive a certificate or to be conferred to be able to do something, right? So you go through those things, and people are wondering why. And I always like to say, well, the reason why employers are looking for a degree, even if the information that you need that is important for that job is not in your degree, what they're looking for is the discipline that a degree says that you have, because you were able to go through assignment after assignment after assignment for a 2 to 4 year period, right? And you waited for someone to tell you that you could do this, right? So it's the discipline that is built into the program, that if one masters that, then they'll be successful at the next level. So always think about what we do as a stepping stone for what's coming, like you said, for what's coming down the line, and where, and to make us aware of where our mind should be when we get there.
See, I told you, that's the diligence I'm talking about. This is the lessons from the mentor, from the master, the myth, the legend, Joshua Arjona. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I don't know about all those other things, man. I'm just glad that you would call me a friend, and that you would listen, to some of the things that I have to say, and that you found value in something that I was bringing forth. Because if the mentee doesn't find the value, then what are we doing for? What are we doing this for?
Man, oh man. Where can they find you, Josh?
Well, I am at Miami-Dade College. I am on my, I guess, what is this, my 13th, 14th year at the college working with students. I'm in your neighborhood high schools. I'm at Miami Central. I'm at Miami Norland. I'm at North Gardens, North Park. I'm at Turner Tech. I got one more, I think, Carroll City. So I'm at those high schools now, trying to give students an opportunity or point them in the right direction. Tell them, hey, listen, come to college. We're gonna help you get the things that you need to be able to be successful, or what they're requiring of you, to be successful. And I'm also I'm with Vlad, so wherever Vlad is, that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm not big on the socials yet. I guess I get on the social medias. I have an Instagram, but that's more of a personal thing, just to connect with the students and as a part of my mentorship and mentoring students. But listen, man, if they want to find me, all they got to do is look up Vlad.
So
right?
You heard it here. Any questions you have, man, just hit them up. I will send it right to them. Just afford a little bit. Just be a little birdie in the conversation, for sure. But thank you, Josh, for coming on. I really appreciate you. But everybody, I know this conversation was a good one. I know everybody took one. I'm going to be cocky here. I'm going to be arrogant here. I'm going to say that I know for sure everybody at least heard something that touched them in a minute. But thank you guys for watching. I wish you guys all the best. Y'all know where to find me. EchoVlad_ on Instagram or anywhere else. But anything else, I wish you all the best. And with the rest, God bless.